Now calling to order Historic Landmarks Commission, April 26, 2023. All right, shall we do roll call vote? Or not roll call vote, vote if you're here.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll go ahead and take roll call. Chair Grumbine.
Here.
Vice Chair House is absent right now. Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Dorden.
Here.
Commissioner Drury.
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Here.
Commissioner Lundvik.
Be here.
Commissioner McClure.
Here.
And Commissioner Uli.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
All right, great. On to item A, public comment. Any member of the public wishing to comment on an item that is not on our agenda today can please step forward. Not seeing anyone. Let's go to virtual public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. Correct that I do not have any speaker slips right now as there is no one else in the room. We do not have any virtual participants either, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So back to the commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on to approval of the minutes of the Historic Landmarks Commission, April 12th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, I think,
I think
that's a
Drury.
tie goes to the jury.
Yeah,
All right.
I think
You
Butler
can second
seconded
it. All
I
right,
think Butler did.
that's true. Okay, we'll go with that. All right, any edits, changes to the minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Drury.
may I just say that the secretary is doing a fabulous job with these minutes. They're really, really top notch. Oh, pshaw. No.
She
All
should
right.
put in for a raise.
Yes, there we go. All right. Aside from that, so do we have a motion and a second? All right, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll take the roll call vote. Commissioner Dorden.
Yes.
Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundvik.
Yes.
Commissioner Uli.
Yes.
Commissioner McClure.
Yes.
Vice Chair House.
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. On to item C, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals.
There are no announcements from staff at this time, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. I did want to mention that this one for future agenda items, if we could get the State Street discussion back on the agenda for maybe next time, if it's possible. And I know that Ms. Kakinda had reached out to me about that, so I don't know if tomorrow, if in 2 weeks works for it, but yeah, 'cause it had been postponed last time, so.
We can discuss some.
Okay,
after
sounds
the
good.
hearing, But thank you,
Mi-
Mr. Chair.
You said State Street.
State Street, yeah,
Current stuff or?
Current stuff.
Future?
current.
Current.
Yeah, current situation at State Street, yeah. We had the one discussion previously, and then it was going to be continued, and then we had it on an agenda, and then we removed it, so.
Because you weren't here.
And I had been the one that had asked for it in the beginning, so I guess I have to be here. Okay, so any other announcements, et cetera?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have to
Commissioner
leave by
Drury.
5 o'clock.
All right. Well, this is a lighter than usual agenda, so if you're leaving when we're not, then there's a problem.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes. Commissioner Ensberg.
I have a report about and maybe it goes under the subcommittee reports, I'm not sure, so I can hold off if that's the where it should be.
Okay, well,
but,
why don't we just start?
Go right into it? Oh, okay.
You can kick us
Okay,
off.
I spoke with Jessica Metzger about the airport terminal improvement project. And the initial comments are going to be coming, the initial comments on the plan of the building are going to be coming to us, to HLC on June 7th. So I just wanted to report that and let you all know. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Okay, other subcommittee reports?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I should make an
Commissioner
announcement that I will
Vice
not
Chair.
be here for the meeting of, I think it's May 24th. Thanks.
All right, any other subcommittee reports? All right. Okay, in that case, we're on to, and we're only 10 minutes, or is item 1, is everyone for item 1 here, and are you guys good to go?
We're missing landscape.
Okay, landscape doesn't matter anyways. Yes, Commissioner Dorden.
I was not present present for the meeting of November the 9th, 2022. So earlier this week, I sat down and reviewed that videotape and the notes.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we can break for, 10 minutes or 5
Why don't we
minutes.
start, I can go through the architecture.
Oh, that's true. Okay, we can always we can always pause if we need to. Okay, yeah. We were faster out of the gate than normal for this.
Can you move that closer to us?
I think
Hopefully there's enough slack
hopefully
in the
won't
cable.
unplug it.
Good.
All right. Okay, so welcome. We are on to item 1, continued item for final approval, and this is for final approval. It's 113 through 115 and 117 West De La Guerra Street. This is located in EPV. The W.D. Smith Building is listed on the Historic Resources Inventory, designed in 1928 in the Spanish Colonial Revival style by Edwards and Plunkett, or Edwards, Plunkett, and Howe. Proposal to construct a new mixed-use building with 1,000 square feet commercial area and 23 residential units. All existing development would be demolished with the exception of the historic facade and tile roof of the W.D. Smith Building, which will be preserved. One existing queen palm in the right-of-way is proposed to be relocated. A minor zoning exception is requested to allow for reduced driveway visibility adjacent to the portion of the existing historic building to remain. Final approval is requested. Project plans must demonstrate substantial conformance to the plans that received project design approval on November 9th, 2022, which is when the project was last reviewed. And Commissioner Jordan, as he mentioned previously, has reviewed it, so he will be partaking in the discussion and vote. All right, so welcome. If you could introduce yourselves for the record, and then do we have comments, any comments from staff?
Pardon me, Mr. Chair, I was going to ask if you want me to read out the minutes from the
Oh, yeah,
project design
that's a good
approval, and then
idea.
we also have Megan Arciniega here, who is the case planner for the project, so she can let you know if she has any announcements for the item.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I don't have any announcements or other detail to add, just here for questions.
Okay, great. Yes, so if we could go through the minutes. Okay, so,
So the motion was for a revised project design approval with the following comments. The applicant shall continue to work with the neighbors to be sure that the project comes together in a way that makes everyone happy. 2, the awnings are mounted too high and need to be brought down. 3, the wood column posts/beam brackets on the 3rd floor need to be on top of the columns to spread the load. And then the appropriate findings were made for the project.
okay.
Did you make the neighbors happy?
We'll see. Okay, so with that, if you could introduce yourselves for the record, and then you'll have 15 minutes, but if you don't need to take it all, if you don't want to.
If you need more.
Or if you need one.
Michael Stroh with DMHA Architecture.
And Ed Devisane with DMHA Architecture and our landscape. Courtney Jane Miller, she should be here. Not sure where she is at the moment, but we can go through things. So thank you, Chair Grumbine and fellow commissioners. What have we been doing since last time? Well, we've actually submitted at risk. I know we're here for final, but we've got a round of plan check back from all the departments, and I'm pleased to announce that there's no comments that resulted in major changes or even minor changes to things that this commission is interested in seeing. So what we'll do is we have a full set of documentation because of that. We have a full package of design and
194
engineering.
pages, which you don't need to
194
go through
pages,
all of them.
which we will not. And so what we'll do is go through, we'll go through the set, we'll just flip through it and highlight a couple of things that, refinements we've made or things that we know the commission may have some interest in. And along the way, we have 3 comments to address. I guess I can talk about the neighbor comment. Yes, we have neighbors, as you recall, on both sides. We have already mixed-use buildings on either side of us, and we've been working actually for quite a few months with the neighbors on both sides. And some of the fencing and wall detailing between the buildings, we have refined and can walk you through that. And we're really to a point of fine-tuning that at this point with specific in neighbor preferences in certain areas, but you can see the general direction we're going with that. for
Sure,
most of
and
that.
if when you get to those things, and I'm assuming that you're going to just basically show us all the things that changed, anything that changed from last time, and then also addressing those comments.
You got it. That's what we'll do. So I'll pass it to Mike, and I'll flip through pages.
Okay. So There haven't been any really significant changes in the project since the last time you saw it in November, with the exception of just sort of, again, those sort of edges with respect to the neighbors and their walls and balconies and things like that. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But so if you could go to the site plan, just again to refamiliarize you guys with this, flip through civil and landscape. We have full sets of documents, and Courtney will be here to present that. So our site plan hasn't changed. We're coming off De La Guerra. We're keeping the original historic facade. We have our parking deck and then podium. And basically, we're just building our exiting and our commercial space behind that existing historic facade. And at the second level, which if you could go up a little bit, we did do some refinements, at least at the top of the stairs, with respect to the entry gate into the Paseo, as well as the entry gate into the one unit, the studio that is closest to the street. And so we worked through those, and I'll show you some details here in a bit with respect to that. But beyond that, I mean, aside from just sort of enhancing the landscape design, and then as well as our details of various conditions for construction, there really haven't been any changes. And then you go up to the third floor, and again, everything starts to step back, and we get lesser and lesser units, and our various walkways. And then the fourth floor. Sorry, pan up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Fourth floor is just the 3 units that were there before, and then our common open space and elevator. And so with that, again, we have a full set of civil and stormwater documents now. We've worked through all the drainage and all of those issues, BMPs and such, landscape, which Courtney will present. But if you could go to the overall elevations, Ed, that's where I'd like to start. Back. So you can see actually on the long elevations now we have some notations about where existing walls are with respect to the properties adjacent. And so what you can see there is we're building a partial height wall on our side, which has then an aluminum fence on top. And the total height of that on both sides of the project is 6 feet, and it's a slatted shadow box fence so that essentially it's not going to read like a wall. There will be light let in, and you could even address it with landscaping and hedging and things like that. But it has some transparency to it, just to not feel quite so present to both the neighbors and to the residents of this project. And if you could go, Ed, to actually page 70, it looks like. You're going to have to click through. There we go. Okay. So, down here. So here's a wall section essentially up against the neighboring property. And you can see what we did is basically, so we're building a CMU wall, which is up to about 42 inches. And then we're building this aluminum fence, which is only 30 inches tall on top. And then between the buildings we had to work through, there were some drainage issues and some other things that needed to be addressed. And we had to put in our seismic joint and work through that so that, again, just so that the buildings aren't, so we get a solid seal, essentially. And if you could go then to, go back to the elevations real quick. So, so you can see, so on the long elevation, you have it on the one side, which this one has a lot less fence, but it does have, again, the staggered wall coming down. It is a little bit taller on that side. And then on the other long elevation, again, it's more flat against the other building, and everything's pretty much a consistent height of that 6 feet. So with that, what I want to do is I actually want to go through, so we have our full construction set. I mean, we can go through all the sections and any questions you have, but I'd like to go to the details. So if you could go to A604. There we go. So these are our window and door details, and we're using a wood window and door system with aluminum cladding. Our entry doors are all are solid wood. Next sheet. And we are recessing them. Keep going. This wall type details. Other direction. Oh, okay. These are our window details, and again, we're pushing back as far back as we can go to get better shadow line. And more consistent with some of the other buildings in the area. And then we go into some of our more decorative details. We have a crown on top of the elevator, and we have some various corbel type details and cutouts, and just some various wall details of varying shape that kind of form these nice little ends to balconies and things of that nature. We have our balcony details here, one of them anyway, in terms of just our simple railing, just wrought iron railing. And then we also have another one where we have a wall and we have a small railing on top. Next sheet, please. And then this is actually number 11 there on the top left. That's our new entry gate. You can see that we have this is decorative wrought iron, so as you come up that stair, you get that full view, and you'll be able to see through that. And get a look into the paseo. And then we have a nice little niche entry at that studio space that's closest to the street, and that'll be a nice little seating wall. And then some additional balcony details, just where we go to a wood rail versus the wrought iron. Next sheet. We have various archway details, things of that nature. So one of the things that was commented on the last time is we had our awnings were set so that the bottom of the valance was equal to the top of the header on the door. So we actually lowered that. We do still have a 3-inch reveal at the bottom of the awning, but we've changed the wrought iron frame so that it's flat on the bottom. And so the valance actually now hangs down, 3 inches of the valance actually hangs down below the door frame. And we feel that that's an appropriate response for this condition. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see our wall caps where we're doing the flare, and then we'll do the terracotta cap on our various partial height walls. And then our little wood column corbel detail, obviously, yeah, we drew it incorrectly the last time we were here where we had the column going all the way through. Now everything sits on top as it was supposed to be. So next sheet. Some additional, these are our Juliet balcony details. Again, wrought iron, prefabricated, but just simplistic little details, some little curly pieces of iron, but just really clean and simple. We've looked a lot around town at some various other examples to look at and to try and mimic, and we feel that that the open floor structure and just the sort of nature of them, they're fairly light feeling on the facade. Next sheet. Some additional corbel and wall details. Next sheet. Now we get into sort of the more technical details of wall construction and things. We do have at number 19 there, we do have our entry door, the entry garage door, where we have our plaster soffit that comes back to the door header. So you'll get that framed opening of plaster before you get to the door. And then below that, we have our typical planter detail, which Courtney could talk about more in detail. And detail number 9 there is a little bit of an enlargement of the adjacent neighbor, again, showing the seismic joint between the buildings and that aluminum fence. So keep going. Stair and wall details, next sheet. Roofing details, next sheet. Some various other handrail and drainage and column details, next sheet. So we do have our 3D axonometrics, which we can look at, and then followed by We have our various views for reference purposes, and they have been updated to the latest model. And so we're happy to go through those with you in detail as necessary. So keep going. Yeah. And this kind of gives you a flavor of the colors we've selected as well. We've got a green awning, and we've got green doors and windows, and then we've got the stained wood, and then our blend tile on the roof, and then our La Habra stucco. The color is, well, I'll show you in a second. Okay, so here's our materials sheet. Uh-oh, that's not good. So again, this is our clad window system. The color is, the windows and doors, the color is moss. And then our storefront below is a dark bronze. Our fabric for the awnings is a forest green. We do have the pavers and courtyard pavers, which Courtney can cover in her drawings. This is a detail, the exterior metals. So we have the wrought iron below, which is just a black iron. Above, this is the sort of alternating shadow box fence, although the picture itself is the wrong color. The actual color is going to be factory finish. It'll be the gray-brown, which is the chip that's shown there. And then zoom out a little bit. What else we got here? Our exterior stain. Oh, there's our color. Sorry, the pure ivory La Habra color for the stucco. And then our stair towers actually are a little bit darker. They're a Suffolk, and so it goes just a little bit more brown than the main color. We do have our primary entry doors are the wood doors are the espalier green, and then we do have some minor little metal elements that are painted the status bronze. We have our exterior roofing blend, which if you guys have any specific comments on, we can talk about, and our exterior stain for all of our exposed wood. And then we have our various light fixtures, which have been selected, and we'd be more than happy to walk through if there are any comments on those. And with that, I'd like to, beyond that, we have structural and mechanical and all the other fun stuff. But I'd like to turn it over to Courtney.
Should we switch up on the mic?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure. 40 seconds. Go. Courtney Miller, landscape architect. This is the main page we should look at. So if you could zoom in on the materials, I'll just explain those. So for our hardscape, we have concrete pavers and colored concrete on the podium level. So those are those first two images. The one on the left, it's a Angelus product, and we'll be doing a tumble to give it a little bit more of an aged look. And then on the ground floor, we're using Hydroflow pavers, which is the image on the right, and in the Santa Barbara tan color. So those are truly permeable, so you won't see the gravel joints in between. And then all of our pots will be terracotta, so we're sourcing those from Eye of the Day. And if you scroll down, we have our stair. So this is the main stair, residential stair, goes up the front of the building. And we've developed, I think, a really beautiful layout for the tile risers. We have a combination of solids and decos, and we kind of go from dark to light as you go up the stair. So a little ombre effect, and in all greens to go along with the architectural palette. I'm happy to go through anything else if there's any questions, but those are the main changes that we brought forward today. We have our full, package with details and planting, irrigation, et cetera.
All right.
Thank you, Courtney and Mike. So yeah, it's all in there. Any questions you have, we're happy to answer. That's our presentation, Chair.
All right, great, thank you. So with that, I'll open public comment. So anyone in the room wishing to comment on this item, please fill out a speaker slip, and you'll have 2 minutes to come up here. Anyone in the room?
Thank you, Chair Grumpine. I don't have any speaker slips. As I turn to virtual, if anyone wants to speak, please fill out a speaker slip. Going to virtual participation, if anyone wants to speak on this item, please raise your hand and we can call on you. Not seeing any raised hands, and again, no speaker slips, and we did not receive any written correspondence, so back to the commission.
All right, thank you. All right, so to the commissioners for questions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. House.
I did not have any success finding a cut sheet for the garage ceiling light fixtures. Do you have that somewhere? It was called out on the E-sheets, and on A901, you have a lot of fixtures, but then there's also no information about what they're lamped with, the color, temperature, et cetera. It's almost to the end. So you have a chart there, and for instance, PG and PGE aren't on A901, so I don't know what those look like.
Chair Grumbine, Vice Chair House, I don't think we do have a cut sheet for it. I can see there it is, it's a round type, so it's not a linear, and it's a 4,000 Kelvin on the temperature.
Okay.
Okay, other
Mr.
questions? Commissioner
Yeah, the
Lundey?
Vice Chair is through. The garage roll-up door, is that a solid door, or is it a link transparent door, or what?
I believe it's the brick I believe this one is the brick pattern that we've presented on other projects, which is it would be on the door schedule sheet.
So the question is, are we going to see through it into the garage?
It is perforated, yes, it is not solid.
So then the light fixtures will be visible to a degree,
To a degree, yes.
and fire sprinklers, piping, and all that kind of stuff is going to be up there, exposed to view, either when the door is open or even when it's closed. There'll be a partial view.
That would be correct, yes.
Yeah, that concerns me. And I don't know what the solution is. You say the fixtures are round,
Correct.
a round fluorescent fixture,
LED.
LED.
So I'll turn this into another question. Is there any other garage doors that you have considered as a way of not having a see-through version?
This is the fixture inside.
Okay. City,
I don't know.
City TV, if you could zoom in. City TV, if you could. There we go.
Heavily glared.
Yeah.
It's tilted a little.
Yeah.
There we go.
Should have done my nails. All right.
Didn't know you were going to be.
And that's a surface-mounted fixture, right?
Correct.
Surface mounted, yeah.
But you don't really see the lens is flush on it. Is that correct?
Well, you'd have the bottom of the podium, and then you'll have the fixture, which is it's a sort of triangular, and then you'd have it flat, so you wouldn't see the edge of the lens.
No, but is there a lens on the fixture?
Yes, there is. It's recessed, probably a good half an inch.
Okay.
So, that way, sorry.
Okay.
I have a series of questions.
Okay, I want to just hang on that garage door question while we're here, because there's so many pages to go through to get to one. So the question for the garage door, was there any other thoughts that you've had on having a garage door in terms of, do you need it for ventilation? Do you need it for, is it sight? What is it? Why this garage door as opposed to a more solid one, or could you do a solid one?
We could, from a technical standpoint, we could do a solid garage door. The reason we chose this particular door is that it's something that we've gotten approved on other projects recently and after much discussion with other boards, because it has a nice pattern to it and it doesn't just look like a big bare face. And it's also not, it's perforated, but it's not, you know, you're not looking right through it, and it's not glass, and it's not anything else. And so, you know, we have put a lot of thought into what that looks like. I mean, yeah, actually, this is a perfect example. You can, again, it is, you will be able to see through it, but it'll be relatively dark in there, except at night, which would be, you know, you would see some reflection potentially. So,
All right.
Mr. Chair, on that subject, could you describe the gauge of the metal used? Is it a chain?
no, it's actually, they're aluminum bar stock essentially, and then it's, there's essentially like they're vertical posts essentially with holes in them, and they're offset and staggered to give that running bond pattern.
Okay, how big do you figure these pieces are?
I would say they're probably, I think it's 1/4 inch bar stock, and then the gap is probably 3/8 to half of an inch.
All right,
or
thank
so.
you.
Yeah.
And all of that is going to get into the cylinder that is hidden behind the header.
The cylinder is entirely hidden behind the header, and then we have a corbel detail, which actually further kind of
Sure.
brackets that.
Well, it looks, it's nice. It probably going to look nice. I'm just really concerned what we see as we look through it. That's my concern.
And just to confirm, we've reviewed that before, HLC has? Or is it on ABR?
Did Haley go to SBAR HLC? That was
ABR.
ABR.
Okay.
Okay. And De La Vina as well, right? That was also ABR. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just didn't remember that, so.
If I may just ask one more question, please? And did you call out the color of the screen?
It's a dark bronze.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Lemon?
Yeah. Do you have any masonry walls on the property lines that are exposed to view from the street or from the neighbors, which aren't plastered?
We do not, and this is actually, this has come up on a number of projects recently as well, and so part of that has been that discussion about where that seismic joint is and how that works. And so we've placed it at the top of our wall so that, because obviously you can't reach down there and
No, I understand, but-
plaster the wall, but since we put the seismic joint at the top of our wall, below our wall cap, you wouldn't see any of that.
So you have no masonry walls with the rail on top that are exposed to the view from the adjoining unit?
That is correct.
Interesting, okay. The record
Sorry,
shows.
Sorry, I'm not totally following that. I just realized that, can you go to the section detail of it?
It'd
or-
be a side elevation is what you need to look at, so A201. Go back there. I think it'd be about page 55 or so. Oh, you got it right there. Okay, so go to the enlarged elevations, the next sheet.
And
Sorry, one more.
Jump in here actually on this. When we looked at this with the neighbors, part of the discussion was because their wall goes up and down, which you saw on both properties, we actually lowered the CMU portion to be below all that. So we have a nice clean line to get that seismic joint. And that's why we added the fence above. It kind of cleaned that up. So we didn't have odd configurations of flashing on our side, then switching to flashing on their side. It kept our flashing and the seismic joint lower than the existing walls on both sides. And that's what made it easy to kind of get the fence in there. And then it was more a discussion about the materials and how much you see through, et cetera.
So this is the view. What do the neighbors see on their side?
Everything above the heavy black line at the top of the masonry. is
Gotcha.
what they would see, but they don't see any of the masonry below that.
Okay. So from that, where the cursor is up, so they see all the metal fence?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we actually have it here. We have the views on the overall.
Okay, so they see part of the CMU and then,
The wall you see is their wall.
okay, so that's what's
Our
existing right now?
CMU is below.
Okay,
correct.
got it.
That's one side. This is the 121 side, and then the Paseo Chapala side is here, and same thing. It's not,
Yeah.
it's doing I'm going to make blue boxes. So all the wall you're seeing in the foreground is the Paseo Chapala walls. The only
Currently.
portion you see above, it would be the metal
So then
fencing.
that's set back, whatever, 6, 8, and 10 inches.
There's about a 6 to 8 inch separation, depending on exactly where it
Okay,
is.
and then,
So
okay, got it.
What's the finish on the aluminum fence?
it's a factory pre-finish, and it's a dark, it's a gray-brown color. It's on our color
Oh, that's
board,
right, yeah.
So,
And Chair,
Okay.
Mike, while we're on this, so their wall is, do you know the color of their wall?
for the most part, it's all plaster, and
Is
then
it
they're all
white?
just a whitish color.
So it's a white, and then it would be the dark above, your wall above,
Yeah.
The fence above, yeah.
the fence
Yes,
wall.
correct.
above.
Some of their walls may be pink inside.
Yeah, I'm just asking about what they would be looking at, whether they would be
Yeah.
seeing white and then dark above, or what. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lemdick?
Yeah, you've brought your awning flaunce, or whatever it's called, down so that it's below the header. But you've set your bracket at the header height. What is your window header heights?
They're all 7 foot.
7 foot. But your bracket is outside the jamb. I mean, you could bring that bracket down, couldn't you? To bring the awning down more.
Yes, we could, as long as the valence doesn't go lower than 6'8", which would be, again, your minimum header height.
Yeah, but the door is never going to open as far as the,
That's correct, but you still can't have the valence below the 6'8".
why not?
Accessibility.
Yeah, it's for code. You have to have 6'8" clearance everywhere. So,
Well, I'm still concerned about how we read awnings as being too high in a lot of the projects that are built today. I'm not going to,
Okay.
whatever.
Next questions?
I have two questions regarding landscaping. Where do we see that you have masked or hidden the fire department double check valve? Is it, or is it outside even?
I might,
It's not outside.
yes.
No.
You have a mic.
So
It's in the building.
we're not screening it because it's in the building.
It is in the building? Okay, good. And how are you handling all of the landscaping we see coming over the parapet above the garage door opening? I don't see any planter there, so,
Thank you for that question. I would have presented that in my presentation, but we talked a lot about that at the last meeting, and what we have there is we have a couple of trees and then a vine that are planted in the ground level planter. The vine will be trained up and over.
you know, espalier that far up there.
And
Bougainvillea?
at the last meeting, Bougainvillea was represented in the architectural renderings, but because this is the north side of the building, we felt that wouldn't be very successful or wouldn't be
Yeah.
happy, wouldn't flower as much as we'd like. So we're using the, forget the name of it, the yellow. Cup of gold vine.
Copa de Oro, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be lovely, and we like the scale of that vine. It's, pretty hefty, so.
Okay. It's a very nice project. I think it's really
Is that a
well
question?
done. That's not a question. I'm letting them know I'm through it.
All right, questions? Other questions?
Chair
Commissioner
McClure?
McClure?
I haven't seen this project before, so I'm questioning what
Yeah.
my abilities are today, or?
They're just questions.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yep, go.
The fence above the masonry wall doesn't read very Hispanic. I mean, I'm questioning if it's Hispanic enough, and like what would have been done, a century ago? And then also the two surface mount lights, I question if they're not too modern, but maybe we won't see them.
And then can we go to those surface mount lights? The garage. Okay.
No, surface mount, it was in your lighting.
Yeah, if we can go to your lighting specs. I had that similar question too, actually.
On the lower right,
Yeah.
or I mean, middle right. Yeah.
The wedge.
The round and the, the round and the downlight that looks like it hooks to masonry.
So thoughts on those?
Sure, Chair Grumbine and Commissioner McClure. These are very small step lights, so they're not large. And these are in our stairwells. And I'm not sure if they're on the exterior stairwell or maybe only on the interior stairwell. We can look at the lighting plan. But they're pretty minimal fixtures, I think is the point I wanted to make in that. You might have to search for them in the lighting
I
plan.
actually had a question on the D1 as well. Can you zoom in a little bit, and where is that going? And where is that?
Those are ceiling mount, I take it.
Let's see, that's power.
So the D1s go over, they're in the recess of the front doors and as well as in the exit stair, the open exit stair.
So, sorry.
And the SL1, the small little pucks, they're little, they're along the Paseo, they're down low.
Those are the step lights.
The step lights, yes.
And then my last question is the K value of the garage lights at 4,000 seems very white. I'm wondering if that could be something less than 4,000.
If it's the direction of the commission, certainly.
Okay. And then along the lines of the fence, aluminum fence question, was there other things considered? Was there other thoughts on that side?
Chair Grumbine, yes, certainly, there was a lot. This is going to be a rental project, so durability and maintenance was of primary concern. And this is what we've got to with the neighbors thus far, but we're still haven't locked down this exact fence design. So we're really, like I said, we're still fine tuning that portion and wanted to get comments from the commission on this shadow box approach.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Questions? All right, let's roll in.
Yes,
Commissioner Ensberg?
thank you, Chair Grumbine. So I have a number of questions. One is, so the neighbors, you've been working with the neighbors, and could you just kind of tell us a little bit about how that's gone and what they have said, and are they satisfied with where it's going? You mentioned that you're still working on that one part of the fence, which of course would be of great concern to them.
Sure, Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Ensberg. Like I said, we've had multiple meetings over the last few weeks talking about the seismic joint and just a lot of technical things, picking up existing drainage. And then the fence has been in iterations just sent out this last week. And so it's been positively received. I know from Paseo Chapala, they're happy with how it is, and the durability is important. Everybody wants it to look good for a long time, which is why we went to the powder-coated aluminum. And on the other side, there was a couple of conversations yesterday with two of the neighbors. One liked it, the other was interested in something different as well. So that's where we're playing with some options on the fencing. arrangement.
And any other concerns or issues besides that?
No, those were all the key issues. I mean, previously, we've talked about the fourth story common space and that setback with planters, but nothing, no, the last issues were really about the drainage, which we resolved, the seismic joint, and then the fence.
Okay, thank you. These are kind of jumping around. On the paving, could you explain, I noticed, you've got two different pavings patterns, and could you just kind of explain what the reasoning was behind that and why you chose to do two rather than one throughout? You've got a kind of an ashlar design and then the more square.
Yeah, I think we've been through many, many iterations on the design, on the podium design. We have these two sweet courtyards, and I think we wanted some variation. And I don't know if I have a good answer, actually. Well, yeah, it's a rental project, so, we were trying to save a little bit of the budget there too. But from a design perspective, I think we always had two materials. At the beginning, we had some brick as well, because the building does have those brick arches. And we moved away from that. We felt like it was too heavy. But we looked a lot at, if you remember at the beginning of this project, of imagery of these kind of narrow cobblestone walkways. And so that was always the vision, and that's why we have the tumble on the paver. But the colored concrete, might have started with the stair, actually, because we don't like using pavers on a stair. They often, it's difficult to detail. And so we kind of started there, and then we were looking for ways to integrate that with the rest of the design.
Okay, thank you. Then I had a question about the building numbers, and I think that shows, well, obviously on that front elevation. Yeah, there it is. So, are they, I guess there they are. Maybe I'll just save that for comments then after. Okay, then I also have some questions on the stucco and the, it's that La Habra, kind of a gray, it looks like in this, it's hard to tell what the color really is.
The primary color, which is 90+% of the facade, it's pretty white. It's actually extremely white, and then
Okay.
especially in the sunshine. And then the stair towers will be just a slightly different thing. It adds a little bit of brown to it.
Pardon my interruption, Chair Grumbine. Can we, to the applicant, can you please speak into the mic? I'm getting City TV.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay, and then
the color is pure ivory. so-
Okay, great. And then the existing, the old building, the historic building is a kind of a little bit darker, right? And that's what it was, that's what it is, right?
Correct, yeah, it's got a bit of a yellowy brown tint to it. You can actually see it in the photo that's up on the screen.
Yes. Yes, okay, and then, thank you. And then the finish is smooth, and the corners, the outside corners are sharp edge? Or is there any kind of eased edge at all?
No, there's a half-inch diameter bull nose around the entire building. So
Okay. Okay, and is there any, and it's a smooth finish?
it is a smooth finish,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, and then the crown. What color is the crown?
That's great.
Is it,
No,
or
it's-
have you
it's
gotten
a-
that far?
it's a gold.
Or is
No,
it a wrought iron, or is it?
Yeah, there'll be a decorative iron piece at the top that'll be a dark bronze or black. And basically everything just kind of cascades down from there into essentially this plaster dome.
But it'll be dark, like
The crown itself will be, yes.
Okay, yeah,
So,
okay. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
I had a question, if we can go to the front rendering again? And maybe this catches this for it. Yeah, if you could zoom into the, right below the crown, the little massing porch right below the crown. Yeah, there you go. Was there any thought previously, and maybe we just didn't notice it, of visually supporting that corner right now that just sort of has, it doesn't have any, you've got the corbels on the one side, but you just kind of have, right there. Was there any thought of how to visually end that differently? I don't think it was pointed out before, I just noticed it in the rendering.
it's changed a number of times as we
Okay.
kind of moved through. So I do know that was our selection based on a number of different iterations, but we are
Okay.
amenable to discussing that with the board. So
All right, great. All right, any other questions?
Well, on that same
Commissioner.
topic, how deep is that, how thick is that wall there? I mean,
think
we can
it's
see where
actually-
you do have the corbels is a pretty thick wall, but the one that the chair was asking about,
Yeah.
looks like it's just
I
a
think
2x6
it's
wall or
go to
something.
36. Just the right sheet, yeah. So, it is, the other wall is a foot thick, and then as it turns, it actually does change to an 8-inch wall. So.
Mr. Chair,
All right, yes, Commissioner Uli.
I realize that there are some things out of our purview. We're asking you anyway. I noticed in the section where the CMU wall and this aluminum box fence, as you describe it, and the seismic connection between the adjacent building, had a scupper from the adjacent patio that drains into the gap. Can you describe how the water gets out of the gap?
You had that meeting, I'm going to let you take that one.
Certainly. Chair Grumbine, Commissioner Uli. There's I don't know, it's probably a dozen of those. And they're not primary drains. This is when we worked with Paseo Chapala Napier, they're overflow scuppers. And so what we're going to do is build a concrete channel at the bottom between the buildings, but above the flood zone, so water doesn't come in. So it'll be about 18 to 20 inches at that about 6-inch gap at the front, near the front. It's set back there. The buildings don't, the transformer's on their corner, so it's probably about 14, 15 feet where that gap would be seen from the back of sidewalk. And so some will get piped, but basically it'll come through that channel and then come out that gap at that location where there's landscaping.
Right, thanks.
All right, other questions? Commissioner Enzer?
I had, yes, Chair Grumbine, one more. On the elevations where we were looking at the awnings, and I think it was toward the when we were having that awning discussion. Yes. Now, of course, my screen isn't working.
You don't have a screen
Yeah,
at
I
the
noticed on this, oh, is it there? This one door, the awning isn't centered over the door. Was that intentional, or is that trying to capture the light fixture or something? I don't know if that was just a drafting thing or what, but if I was, that would drive me crazy.
I'm going to suggest that, so I actually caught that yesterday.
Oh, you
in review. It's an error on our
Oh,
part.
okay.
It should be centered. They will
Okay.
be centered over the door.
Okay,
Yes.
yes, thank you.
All right,
Good eagle eye there.
yeah. It was just the light fixture can't get wet, so. Not covering. Any other, I had one question regarding, the garage. How thick is I was seeing the corbel details, and I wasn't sure which one was for the garage. Can we look at that real fast? And it's the question is specifically about the thickness of the corbel and the thickness of the wall. And there was one that looked like there weren't.
There's a header, actually, 2 sheets up.
Thanks.
Yep. Top left corner. So the header thickness as you come into the garage is actually, it's a good 2 or 3 feet. We could look at the reflected ceiling plan to demonstrate that. But yeah, that comes down off the podium, and you've got a pretty good throw actually before the door. The door is recessed quite a ways.
Yeah, can we look at it in the reflected ceiling plan? That
Certainly.
might just answer my question.
First.
So you're concerned that the corbel doesn't match the width of the opening?
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. There you go. So actually, it's about, actually, it's a good 4.5 feet across. And so we will carry that corbel all the way through.
Okay, and
So-
but are you showing that anywhere? I
Actually, you can just make it out where it says 6 feet at the top. There's a line that runs horizontally across there. You can see that we've carried that all the way
Oh,
back.
perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, that's it. Any other questions?
Maybe to be clear, there should be a note that indicates that that is the line of the corbel.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's,
Mr. Chair?
yes, Commissioner Drury.
Yes, one of your questions concerning a certain corner of the building, I don't know what building it is, but it was a couple minutes ago. Do you remember? There was.
It's our 3rd floor studio.
Yeah.
Or 2nd floor studio at the front.
I'd like to look at that again.
So go to the 2nd floor plan, or actually go to the rendering and go to 802.
Easiest.
There we go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was there, Chair, did you have objections to how it was?
It just struck me as being not just too simple in a certain way, but there's no response of the wall to hold that.
Exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
good, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, but okay, any other questions? All right, let's go into comments.
And pardon my interruption, Mr.
yeah.
Chair, I just wanted to do like a little procedural reminder for the commission. So if you did not attend the November 9th, 2022 hearing and did not review the recording and the minutes, you should not comment. So Commissioner McClure, that is just some instruction for you on, you won't be able to comment on the item or vote on vote when the motion comes around. And then I believe I noted in the minutes that Chair Grumbine and Commissioner Drury were also absent. I don't know if either of you reviewed the recording or the minutes, but.
I did review the recordings.
Okay.
I did as well.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
for
Thank you.
that. Okay. Okay, so we are on to comments. So who would like to start?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Speaking.
Vice Chair House.
Yeah, the lighting in garages has been an ongoing problem for us because it just gets overlooked and then it's horrible. And Paseo Chapala next door is one of the prime examples. They're just fluorescent wraps and there's no shielding on them and the light pours out and illuminates the sidewalk and halfway across the street. So I think the fixtures you've chosen are probably fine. As mentioned, 4,000K is way too cool. And I think even the 3,000 would be better, just be a glow out of there instead of something harsh. But we do need to have adequate cut sheets on the plans of all the fixtures with all the specs about color, temperature, and stuff like that. I don't think any of your other fixtures should be more than 3,500. And 3,000 might be appropriate as well. So they're just more like incandescent lighting. And also it would be useful for those illustrations, if you don't have complete cut sheets on some things, to have dimensions on them, because obviously the step lights are small but the picture is the same size as something that's many times larger. So that would be helpful to have. The other comments I had were on the ironwork. You say it's black powder coat. We always request a warm black or a red black or a green black, something that's just an off black and not harsh. And since we're no longer holding virtual meetings, there's no reason not to have physical samples of things like the stucco and stuff like that, so we really know what it is we're approving. Thank you.
Okay. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll give it a try. I think it continues to be a supportable project. I think the material that you presented today is in substantial conformance with what we saw in November. I appreciated the questions of other commissioners. And this particular elevation, the matter the chair brought up, I think that needs some resolution so it feels like it's connected to the building in some way. And in general, supportive. I'm not as concerned as other commissioners are about the lighting in a garage. Garages need to be safe, and you need to feel like you're safe when you're in them, and so illumination is important for safety. And I think the fact that there is a fairly hefty corbelled entry where the fixtures are actually above that and deeper in will make them so they're not as visible, because some of them are right at the door, and that is the problem. But I continue to support the project. I think you've done a great job.
Okay. Other comments?
Go ahead, I didn't realize.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I would just like to reiterate the ongoing good neighbor policy I'm pleased that you're pursuing on both sides. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes.
I'll be
Commissioner
happy to go
Ginsburg.
next.
Yep.
I think this is a really nice project, and I really appreciate all the work you've done, especially with the neighbors, and if the neighbors are happy, then that's a big part of it, but I think it's a really nice project overall. I do support, whatever, however you go, it's fine, but I just, and I've said this on other projects, I just think a simple paving all the way through is more powerful than breaking it up. There's so many elements already in the building, you know, when you put it all together, there are so many elements that I don't think it's necessary to have a breakup of the paving. I like the ashlar, but I think, you know, pick one and go with it. That would just be my comment. It's not a requirement or anything like that, but I just think it would be even better than it already is, which is really good. On the railings, this is another thing that I kind of harp on a lot, is I'm concerned about the railings. It looks really great. It looks beautiful right now, but once the people move in and then they put their surfboards and everything else out onto the decks, suddenly there's all this clutter. So if there's a way, I'm really looking forward to seeing some other types of applications, and I know there's some great examples of something more solid, maybe a punch steel with a really cool
Is there-
pattern.
What railings are you thinking of?
Just the railings that where, particularly the ones that are unique to the unit, where,
Can we, I just want to make sure we're noting what.
well, like this one here right in front. There's a
okay,
door there,
yeah, the
someone
front
could open,
balcony.
yeah, they could open that up and they could put their whatever out there.
Those darn surfers.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying. So,
How deep
what do
is
we
that
say,
balcony?
surfboards are okay,
How
but
walk out onto
nothing
or-
else.
What about wetsuits?
yeah, hanging over.
are beautiful.
Yes, I know some of them were shallow, but how about that one you said?
I believe that one sticks out about 3 feet, or 3'6".
Yeah.
You have a number of railings that are just passageway, which I think is fine, but wherever it's, you know, private, and that someone might be putting their laundry or whatever out there, it just can start to be you know, a clutter from the street and from.
That's the front one? That's the front railing?
I do really like this little scallop detail that you put on there, by the way. I think those kind of things are really nice.
Yeah, that one of them looks like it's 20 inches, or 17.
There's a bigger one down.
Yeah. So what would you say size-wise that would want to go more solid? Because I think on the Juliet balconies and the smaller, like the 17, 18, doesn't seem like they're.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely cram some stuff out there. You could. You've done it, huh? And people are short on storage, so they just put stuff out there, you know?
We can't solve all social
No.
problems in this world.
So anyway, give that some thought of you know, certainly this is a beautiful, we see this everywhere, but once you bring out, you know, the reality of living, then maybe we can find some other solutions. So I'll just leave that at that. And then about the, I don't have a problem with garage door at all. I think it's fine. I like it. I think it is very appropriate. And as far as the light fixture, it's not a wrapped lens, so I don't see a problem with it. You know, it's not like a fluorescent with a wrapped lens on it. So it does have an edge, and then the lens is up underneath. So I don't think it's a problem. I was wondering, though, if it could be, instead of 3,000 Kelvin, maybe 27. I don't know how.
It didn't come in that. I think it 3,000.
Was that the, okay, all right. So, so I'm good with that. The building numbers, I wish they could be a little bit more romantic, something a little more scrolly or, yeah, poetic. That's the word we use, right? And a couple more things. The louvered wall in the gray-brown, I wonder if it would be better in a lighter color for more reflectivity, more light to be able to get into those.
Actually, do we want to have a little discussion on that, just in
Do you-
general? 'Cause
okay.
There's
many
It seems
things.
like there's at least the question of what, doing something a little more EPB appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
as especially, you know, it is seen, especially very closely by some people.
Mm-hmm.
And it does, and at least in my mind, it didn't seem to jive with what, yeah. our
It feels a
guidelines.
little bit like a container.
Yeah, and I understand the need, desire to get light, but I don't see how that's really going to get that much more light. And I understand the privacy thing too, but it seems like a more solid version or just more EPV, whether it's wood or even wood paneled or something like that, that actually played to the Spanish architecture.
The metal wall that's above the block
The
wall.
metal,
Aluminum fence.
privacy wall.
On both sides, right, on the wall.
That's on top of the block.
That fence, which they have in aluminum, bonderized or anodized, that's got to be the lowest maintenance thing you can possibly have, because otherwise you're not going to get on the other side to paint that, you know, so that the neighbors will have, you know, a nice appearing fence. And it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't know that we should be dealing with that too much.
Well, it's on the exterior of the building, so, and someone's got to look at it, and, yeah, and it doesn't really seem to go with our EPV language at all. I guess part of the question would be, could you do it in plaster? Is there a reason you couldn't do that wall as a white plaster wall? It's going to bounce light, probably more than a metal louvered thing. So I guess that's a question, and is there any additional issues with that?
Sure. Chair Grumbine, fellow commissioners, thank you for giving us your thoughts on this. It's an important element. Again, when we looked closer at it after the last hearing, the level of complexity to take that plaster wall up for waterproofing and just keeping water out of that gap goes up exponentially. So bringing it down so it's lower than the two existing buildings is important. So we're really left with what do we put above it? And we've made a lot of good progress with the neighbors, and we're still open to fine-tuning the solution with that. I'm tending to agree with Commissioner Lenvik, is if we can solve it with the neighbors and they're all happy and it's low maintenance, is the commission okay with that? So it's really, you're willing to to push back as hard as you can, but that's how we're approaching it, at least, is really how Commissioner Lenvik is, so.
Mr. Chair, I don't have a problem with what they're proposing in that fence, because I think, if I recall the discussion from November, there was an issue about having this wall facing the neighbor balcony, and there was a desire for some sense of transparency. You could see through it, even if it was obscured. And so I think putting a solid wall would be going against the sentiment of that discussion. Although I suppose somebody's going to get uncomfortable and want to put a tarp over it just because they don't want anybody staring at them. But, that will be a management issue, I'm sure. But I don't have a problem with the proposed way they've designed it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would also ask, is there any landscaping that would grow up on that? Any vines? Or tall plantings in front of them?
We have an olive tree and some succulents, primarily in that planter. There's some cape brush in the back that kind of does this. But we don't have any vines currently. So that's something that I was looking at earlier, thinking about.
It's impossible to put any planting there. I mean, they're right on the property line.
There-
And it's a private patio, if I'm hearing what we're talking about.
That we have raised planters on our side of the fence.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes.
Can we look at that section that showed the neighbor's patio and then the wall, how those walls work together? Right. So the left side is showing the neighbor. So if I lived there, I would be putting some pots on top of that wall.
It's
And
not
I-
your wall.
Well, I'm saying if I lived right here.
Oh.
That's what because that's what we're concerned about, is these people on the neighbors and what they're looking at.
They can do what they want to do.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that would be an option. That's what I would do if I lived there. So that would take care of it. You'd have some plants growing and it would sort of screen it. So I think that's fine. I do think, I'm having trouble with the dark color. I think it should be, it is a louvered type of screen, and I think if it were light, like white, it would reflect more. Obviously, it would. It would allow the light to flow through there and be more bouncing around more. So I think I would like it a lot better, and I don't have a problem with the design of it. I just have a problem with the color.
Can we go back to the picture of it?
Other louvered thoughts as we go there?
I have some comments.
I could see that similarly if it went to a real light color and didn't have the discrepancy with the wall as jarringly. It might help to make it go away more.
That's the proposed, what's on screen?
Yeah.
Chip.
No problem with that.
Well, it varies.
I'd rather look at that than the white, I know you got, white wall behind it and a white building behind that, and it's all white.
I think maybe it goes away a little more. But, okay, so any other discussion on the fence? Are people mostly feeling that this is an acceptable solution?
I have some comments, if I could.
Oh, sure.
First of all, I'm fine with this. It's a very supportable project. I'm not bothered by clutter. That's a behavioral issue, not amenable to a design solution, in my opinion. And there are plenty of examples of communities that manage behavioral issues like that. Also, having just reviewed the video of the November meeting, I very much appreciate your efforts to respond to the discussion at that time. I appreciate that. Also, the way this project has been presented to us, I want to commend all the parties, including the neighbors, for working to resolve issues together. That said, I have some very general comments about an issue that we've spent a lot of time talking about here right now, which is the general trend towards denser, taller buildings. And we all know what's driving that. There's multiple factors driving that. And so what we're looking at today and the kind of discussion we're having today, we will have more often, because a denser, taller future means that we'll deal more with problems of adjacency and what impact on the neighbors. And increased density and greater height, even if that height is within the legal limits, will take more than views from the neighbors. It'll take sunlight and privacy. And I don't know how to resolve that, but there are real limits to what we as the HLC can resolve. So I think we'll see these discussions more frequently. And that's why I wanted to commend everybody from what I understand, the way this project has unfolded. Wanted to commend everybody for how it's been approached, because negotiation is the best way to deal with that. But that has to be negotiations that happens before it arrives here. So that's it. I find it a very supportable project.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I find it a very supportable project. I'll just
That's very simple. Mr. Chair?
All right.
I just wanted to add my comment on the garage door. I agree with Commissioner Ensberg that my mind went blank for a moment there, that the garage door is acceptable. And actually, the Cornell project just towards Delavina from there has pretty much an identical roll-up door. And I haven't looked at it carefully. My sense every time I go by there is it's just dark in the garage. So to the extent you're just looking, you're not looking into something. And I don't think that the color temperature has any impact on the safety. It's, you know, they've got their lumens to meet IES standards and stuff like that, so that's not an issue. But, and I agree with you, these are not SAG lenses that, you know, glow and are glary. So I think they're the appropriate fixture, but.
All right. Okay, so regarding the garage door, am I the only one that isn't the happiest with the garage door? Sounding like it. I guess I'm the garage door and the fence curmudgeon. So, okay, so, well, it's sounding like there's still got, you guys still have some work to do with it, so I'll try to summarize what the comments are. Yes.
Why is there work to be done on this? It's here for finals.
Cut sheets,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like,
physical samples of stucco.
yeah. So the things that, I mean, the small things might come on consent, but it seems like well, I guess let's go through the list and see if everything can be answered with just a motion. So the cut sheets and with dimensions, but we can tell them to put the dimensions on, and that could be something that's just part of the motion. So the corbel refinement and support in the third story, that little overhang, is something that we'd want to see come back. Let's see, the physical samples of the plaster and anything else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is there a possibility of seeing what the chain looks like on the garage door, the whole, is there a way to?
A cut sheet of that?
Or
Yeah.
take a picture of one that you've done on
Yeah.
another project.
We have the cut sheet on the drawings.
Oh, okay, is there?
Oh.
Can you zoom into the, oh, I guess it's the detail.
And it'll be a dark bronze color.
Okay, thank you.
Is it, sorry, now, is the, oh, those are different model upgrades. Okay, sorry. It's not the open metal. Okay.
Chair Grumbine?
Yes.
Speaking of samples, what about the wrought iron? I'm assuming it's not a hammered, it's a,
What
We
are
didn't-
what are you calling out on your color material board?
It's called out as black right now, but as you pointed out, you want specifically the black or green plaque.
The solid stock.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. What else? That would have to come back.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Commissioner Udall.
I might be on the losing side of this, but it seems to me, in my mind, the only open question is any resolution to do with that little bit that doesn't have a connection to the building. It doesn't have a corbel up on the second floor. But all of this other stuff and the details of it, I think, have been thoroughly discussed. I would hate to see that we wouldn't give this project final today because we're missing a cut sheet that can clearly just be added to the record. Going forward, it seems everything is here and ready for us to do final approval.
That's the motion, I'll second it.
All right, so let's go around and get.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would say if this was holding them up from going into the building department, that'd be one thing, but they did at risk at the building department, and they have corrections to do, so I don't see that it's a big problem to come back in 2 weeks.
Then I would suggest it be on consent.
That'd be fine.
I would agree.
Any other thoughts before?
Yeah, I think we should approve it today and be done with it. We get ourselves a bad name when we do this kind of, picky stuff. And I think this is a great project, and I just don't see why we have to keep dragging them back here. And pardon me?
We're picky people.
Well, I know, I would prefer to see a motion for approval.
Okay, Commissioner Ansberg?
Yes, I agree with that. And yeah, it is a lot to come back.
It's horrible to
They
come
have
back.
to come here, they have to spend several hours
Yeah.
So I would agree. I think they should.
I mean, they come backward and find something else to pick them on.
Yeah, so I would note on that, while I think that there still might be a motion and it still might pass and you might get final, I do think just in terms of, they coming back with a 194-page, you came back with a lot more developed, and it was a lot of work and it was good. So while I agree with the comment that we want to keep things moving along and not be too picky, there was a lot of new, not that much new, like totally new, but there was a lot of new stuff to see here. So I don't think that that's unreasonable that they come back with this much new stuff and come back once more on consent. That being said, it sounds like there's enough support to potentially have a motion that gives it final now. So there's only one way to find out.
Somebody can make that.
Well, I would like to make a motion if what hasn't been made already. I would like to make a motion for final approval, finding that the plans are in substantial conformance to those that were reviewed and given project design approval on November 9th. With the following items. One, that the wrought iron be a warm black, that the third floor balcony facing the street have an engaged column of about 4-inch depth, equaling the width of the adjoining column on the other side. And if we're not changing the temperature of the light fixtures,
Well, you can say to add into it. You can say 3,000 or 3,000 or less.
that exterior light fixtures be 3,000 Kelvin or less. Well, all of them, yeah, all of them be 3,000 or less. A warm, like incandescent. So there's 3 items that I've added, unless there are more, that would be my motion.
Second.
Let me just make sure that we cover all of them here.
Chair,
What about the
what about
simplification of paving?
And
We saw that
That I-
paving before, and I don't think that what they walk on is enough of a concern to us who deal with exterior appearances to ask them to change it.
I would
I mean,
leave-
they're architects, they're designers. We don't have to impose ourselves
That's fine. Let's
on
get a
them.
motion and then we'll
Chair-
get under discussion.
yeah.
And we'll see
Okay.
if there's any.
You have a motion and a second, so are we under discussion yet?
We're adding to we're making sure that the motion includes the things, and then if he doesn't want to include it in the motion, if he won't include it, then we'll have it under discussion, and then it could be either included or not included. You know what I mean? Just in
Okay,
terms-
yes, Chair Grumbine, I would leave that as a comment and let them do as they wish with that about the paving.
Okay.
Not to require it, but as a comment. And then there's the louvered wall.
Yeah, so so then the louvered wall, so if he doesn't, so do you want to put anything in there about the louvered
No,
wall?
no.
Okay. And then, let's see, paving, do you want to put anything in there as putting more solid treatments for the balconies that are publicly or visible or deep?
No.
Okay. And then, okay, I think that covers all the topics that we have raised. And I guess, do you also want to add to your motion about positive comments about this being a good project and thanking them for working with the neighbors?
I don't think we can. I don't think that's necessary to put on every motion we make.
Okay. Well,
Because they heard it.
They heard it.
Pardon
Watch
my,
TV.
interruption, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify, Commissioner Ensberg suggested a comment. Did you want to add a comment about the paving?
No.
Just as a comment, or?
No.
Yeah.
They heard it.
okay, and then, what about the building numbers being more poetic?
It's a signage issue.
No.
Okay. All right, those are all the lists here. So that, maker of the motion, the seconder, agree with all those?
Yep.
Okay, now under discussion. Okay, so now let's discuss any of those things, if anyone wants to make their case for adding or subtracting from the motion before we vote. Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine. I would like to lobby for a lighter color on the louvered wall. And that's what I would say.
And I would also agree with you and go so far as to say I'll even vote for your motion if you if you add the lighter, make less offensive louvers. And maker of the motion and the seconder, you guys,
Well, are we going to select the color today here?
we have to approve something if we're going to
Well,
make it for final.
They've got a color on the board.
Okay, that's.
I'm happy with it.
Okay, so you're not
No.
you're not willing to horse trade?
No.
Your vote?
I-
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would say
Right.
Mr. Chair, I would say at the very least or most, that it be the green that's already on the color palette, rather than pick a completely different color that's not on the color palette, if the color were to be changed.
Maker of the motion on that?
It would make it lighter.
And brighter. I support the proposed color over changing to a more chromatic thing.
It's between these two, though.
No, I'm happy with what's there.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm also happy with what's been presented to us by the designers because there's evidence that they have engaged in and will continue to be engaged in negotiations. So I'm willing to trust the designers to design.
Okay. And then if there is a change to it from this, then that'll have to come back on consent anyways.
Along the same lines, I'm certainly not going to vote against the motion for final, because I didn't get my way.
What are you saying?
I support it. I support it.
All right.
And Chair,
Yes.
and we've made all these comments today, so they've heard everything that we have said. So they do have liberty to change things as they wish based on whatever we said, but, so this is just input to them that they can consider, right?
Yep, the suggestions, not orders.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a motion and a second. We've had our discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes?
Commissioner Lundvik,
Yes.
Commissioner Uli,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure.
Abstain.
Thank you. Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Chair House,
Yes.
and Chair Grumbine.
I'll still vote yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. Nice project.
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Thank you for enduring
I
the
asked,
process.
I didn't say I wouldn't. I just said, I asked.
Mr. Chair, will you announce the appeal period?
Oh, yes.
briefly?
So this project is appealable within 10 days to City Council. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are on to our second item and last item, item number 2. This is a new item for project design approval. This is 130 Canyon Acres Drive, number A. This is the designated structure of merit, designed in 1915 in the Mediterranean style by Russell Ray. Proposal to construct a new 544 square foot garage associated with an existing 4,000 square foot single unit residence. Project includes 920 square feet of associated permeable paving and alterations to existing uncovered parking. The proposed total of 5,700 square feet on a 36,000 square foot lot is 117% of the maximum guideline floor to lot area ratio, FAR. This is for project design approval as requested. Project compatibility findings and minor alteration findings are required. All right, welcome. If you can introduce yourself for the
Yeah, Joe Stewart, Studio 4 Design Group.
Okay, great.
This one should be pretty simple for you guys.
We can make anything
Comparatively
complex.
speaking.
You don't have 194 pages for us to review?
Right.
And do we have any comments by staff or? Yep, all right. Okay.
Will you please come to a microphone?
Okay.
Mostly, I didn't do a report because it's detached from the historic resource, and really up for, just for your discretion at the design review stage, like is it compatible? I thought you guys can handle that one because it's so detached. It's not as much of an issue as some of the ones we have that are hooked onto the buildings as additions.
Yeah, okay, great.
And Mr. Chair, I would just make a note that Russell Ray, AIA, was one of the founding members of the Sunny River chapter of American Institute of Architects in 1929.
Thank you for that. All right. All right, welcome. So you will have, if you introduce yourself and then, oh, you already did, you'll have 15 minutes to present your project if you need all of it.
I won't need 15 minutes.
Okay.
So as you can see, we are just adding a garage here existing. It has 2 uncovered parking spaces in this location, and we are tucking this 2-car garage in here. The original structure, I guess, had some of this property over here, and so there was a garage associated with the building originally. Since then, it's been developed around here, so there's no garage attached to the building. So that's what we're proposing. So you can see it's a pretty simple garage. We are trying to keep all the details, materials exactly matching the existing building. This is the existing building. There's the front from the street. This is where the garage is going to go next to this rock, which you can see on the site plan. That is this rock here. So we're going to tuck it right in here. That is also on this side of the house, and as you can see right here. So we've had an arborist report done on this oak. That's where it's going to be. You can see the adjacent residences. This does not have the color sheet and materials, which I sent in.
But they're matching the existing.
Exactly. All the detail. I have a detail sheet and colors, and they. The owner actually has the paint on site. And the one thing that I was going to say is for the light fixture, you can see there's some larger light fixtures here, but let me zoom in. Let me if I can figure out how to make this work.
And pardon my interruption, I am in the Acela case now. I'm not seeing a color sheet uploaded. Did you title it something other than colors
It
and
should be
materials?
dated the 19th. I think that one's dated the 17th.
It looks like on the 19th you uploaded completeness response letter, plans, which is this plan set, and a resubmittal form.
The plans I looked at on my computer had colors.
Yeah, they had, I saw,
And this set does not. Give me just a moment.
I saw the colors.
Yeah, I'm certain that I sent them in.
It's official.
So the owner has salvaged light fixtures for the entire project. So this one right here is the one that she has some of that we are going to use for the garage. And I'll try to zoom in on that a little bit.
Control 0 will take you back to full page.
I do have the color sheet on this one. It looks like this is the wrong plan set that was uploaded to the presentation folder, but if you want to switch it over to my screen, I can present this for you.
So there's the light fixture right there. The colors aren't really coming through, but you can see they're not really spectacular colors.
2 shades of off-white.
Correct. Yeah, they're really not popping there, but you get the idea.
Paper white.
We're not doing anything different. We're just
There you go.
yeah.
We need a lemon, yes. It's invisible.
That's right.
All right. So as you can see, everything's really just matching existing.
Yeah.
Small project, keeping it simple.
All right. Does that complete your presentation?
That's it.
All right. All right, so we'll go to public comment. Any member of the public wishing to comment on this item? In the room? No? All right. Virtual?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. Turning to virtual, does not look like we have any virtual participants right now. And then we did not receive any written correspondence, so back to the commission. Thank you.
All right. So to the commission for questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
will
Drury.
the oak tree survive?
According to the arborist, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
this is not really a serious question, but I was wondering where the Juliet balcony was for the surfboard storage.
That's on the backside, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, the proposed,
Yeah,
the
that's
not proposed
right.
second floor.
Commissioner Jordan.
you mentioned that the original garage was located further from the house, a property that is no longer owned by this house, correct?
As I understand, yes. I don't really
Do
have a
you
plan
know,
of that.
was that original garage a stable or a garage?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay,
Do you happen to know?
carriage house, okay.
Yeah.
That's why it was further away.
Obviously, the owner.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair
I'll
House.
start my question with something that sounds a little like a comment, but
That's what we do.
yeah. Obviously, it would be difficult to make this garage resemble the house in that the house is a 2-story structure, and so the mass of it is totally different. But the one thing that I noticed is that all the windows have a vertical orientation, and they basically do on the garage, it's the garage doors that read as kind of a big horizontal opening. So I'm wondering if you considered having 2 separate garage doors, because you seem to have plenty of width in the garage.
We could, and that's actually why I was trying to make it so we picked one. That kind of looked like it read as 2 doors, while still giving them the space to get the 2 cars in as wide as possible without making it an overly wide garage.
I mean, had you considered doing 2 separate doors?
We could.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I can say right now. Questions?
Questions? Any other questions?
Chair,
Yes.
Grumbine,
Yep.
there's a stone element on the garage. Is there a stone element on the main house?
There is not.
Okay.
And is there a particular design reason that you were wanting that?
Nope, just came right out of my brain.
All right. Other?
Yes, Chair Grumbine.
Yeah.
What about it appears that the eave projection on the house does not match the eave projection on the garage, although it might have to do with the gutters, I'm not sure. But could you talk about that a little bit and tell us if they do match or?
The intent is to match, and if they don't, it's by about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. It's whether or not I'm showing on that detail, which we don't have that detail sheet on this one.
It could be up on the screen there if it's the other set. Is it? No, or sorry, never mind.
That was
Sorry,
the
I thought that
other
was-
file that had the colors.
Can you-
Anyway, so what I'm showing now is a 2x
Hold on
furring.
one second, we'll go to the other file.
Right there. So right there, I'm showing a 2x furring out, so the plaster wraps around it. And I couldn't really tell on the existing structure if it's more like a 3x, but it's not much. And because of the scale of the building, I figured it would probably read exactly the same. Since the gutters are up
Okay.
significantly higher.
And since we're on this, the gutter, that gutter profile matches the gutter profile in the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, to Commissioner House's observation on the, if we could look at the elevation of the house, the main house, and the,
Oh, boy. Not sure how I got there.
You rolled the roller on the mouse.
Yep, but
plus.
that used to just go between sheets.
Yeah, try the plus sign at the top, just zoom in.
Okay.
okay. With that, okay, it does look like they're pretty close.
They are.
Okay. All right, then, and then the other question, on the garage door, again, I appreciate Commissioner House's comments and wonder, of course, if you have a center piece, you have to be sure you don't hit it every time you're going in the garage. But have you had the opportunity to see what that original garage may have looked like and what those garage doors were like at all, or researched
I
any
have.
other?
And they are exactly as you would expect these drawings to be. They're very simple, as it used to be. So it's really not, it wouldn't really drive any of the design decisions on this.
It wouldn't?
No, it looks very
It looks the
similar.
same as
What
what
I've
you
drawn is
have?
pretty similar to what they
With
have.
windows like that?
Yeah,
it had windows?
it's exactly the same as the house.
Okay. Well, except there's not a garage door on the house, but,
That is correct.
I'm just curious what that
Are you talking
original,
about the garage door, the windows, the lights within the garage door? Or-
I'm not talking about the man door of the garage door, I'm talking about the car garage doors.
So the car garage doors, and you're asking about the glass that's in the.
Yes,
whether
yes, they
that
I
is-
don't remember specifically what the garage doors look like on the original,
Or if you were able to.
or whether or not it was even built to that. We just have some old drawings. But I can,
Or done any research on other buildings of this era and what type of garage doors they might have had.
I've looked at several, and I felt like this reflected that.
Okay, all right. Those are my questions, thank you.
Since you're on this, can you zoom into that corner where the gutter downspout is?
Here?
Yeah, right, yeah. So is there a particular, so I see the downspout kind of swoop off the wall a little bit anyways. It looks like it's 4 or 6 inches. Is there a different eave detail at different parts of the house, or is this all the same?
I think just the tower appears like it's different, but it's different. I mean, it's similar all the way around. And here if you look at it closely, it looks like it's maybe a 4x or a 3x that it furs out to the gutter.
Okay.
But like I said, I felt like it was better to make that smaller at a smaller scale.
On the smaller scale garage. Got it. Okay. Any other questions? All right, we want to roll into comments.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Uli.
I think it is a supportable project. My comment would be about the stone element on the garage that you're proposing. It seems that it would want to be either lower and a random edge instead of a hard edge, or the entire element would be stone. I'm struggling with the mix. It's kind of 50-50, right? Stone comes up halfway and then plaster. I think you should go either lower stone or all stone. Otherwise, I like that little building.
Okay. Other comments? Commissioner Ansberg?
Yes, thank you. I agree about the stone. I think I'm struggling with whether it's even necessary. It doesn't match anything on the house, so I'm not even sure it should be there. So I would consider just removing it. The garage door, I think that the two separate garage doors makes more sense and fits better with the style. So I would support that. And the eave, if we're looking at this picture right now, it just doesn't, I guess, it doesn't look, it doesn't seem to be the same. I feel that the garage, it feels that it doesn't project enough. And maybe it is, but it certainly doesn't look like it from this picture I'm looking at here. So I just feel like it needs a little bit more there. And then one little tiny little thing is that the man door feels like it's a little too tight. I think that the hinge is on the left and the handle is on the right, and it's right up next to that projection. And it might be, look a little better and also function a little better if it was just slid over slightly. And those are my comments. Thank you.
All right. Other comments?
Well, I'll just say I too would prefer two garage doors.
Along the garage doors side of things, I don't know if you have the drawings that of what you thought the carriage house was, or you know that it was. I think that may if you do have. I'm thinking of a particular example of a historic project once I worked on that was. That actually it was a carriage house, and it had three sliding vertical panels, and it was actually the width of a two-car garage door, but it had three of them, and they stacked to the side, and they actually had the lights in them as well, glass, and some not too different from what you had drawing. But I'd be curious as to the original drawings if it's like that, then in your original drawings with two panels or even three, that might be a way of having that big opening and not separating it out. That would be a good, in my mind, sort of justification along those lines. Yeah, anyways, that's sort of thoughts on the garage door, because obviously we're, kind of giving direction.
What you're saying is instead of looking like two doors next to each other, it looks like three doors next to each other.
Or whatever the drawings were, if they actually are all stacked as a big opening. And if you want to use that as a precedent for your big opening, then going towards that. And then I think that would be, if that's your argument, then I think that makes sense to bring it to the drawings to next time.
You'll be very unimpressed with it.
Yeah, carriage houses didn't really take a lot of work. So, real time. Yeah. Take a look. Oh. Oh yeah, City TV. If you could zoom in.
You have to tilt it.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Oh.
Look at that. Okay.
Pretty close to what you're proposing.
Yeah. Okay.
Are those,
It's
Lights on the
they're
are they, it
this.
looks like they're vertical?
They're vertical lights. The glass is vertical like that. Like it's actually similar to the house in terms of proportions.
Yeah, the proportions are a little different. And then the bottom part.
It has
broken up, I can't
panels.
see very
They're
well.
solid panels.
Solid panels here, but they're broken into two doors, and then and they even have those great little curb or wall, keep you from hitting your wall.
There's a name for that.
That
Yeah.
bottom, the lower part is two verticals, a repetition of two verticals, not broken up horizontally, which I think yours had horizontal.
Can we go
Yeah.
back to your elevations? Somehow.
Or the
So if I split those
Yeah, if you had the
bottom panels.
bottom panels vertically.
yeah, and if you went after this for it, yeah, I think that'd be great. And then you have have it as a double door and just pick up the pattern from that. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Nothing wrong with simple.
Yeah.
Good work.
Okay. Other comments?
This lady didn't introduce herself.
Oh yes.
I'm the owner, Julian Hardiman.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice house.
Lucky enough to have the original.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. So, any other comments to add? Otherwise, I can summarize. Okay. So it looks like to begin with, this is a very supportable project, and you're doing a great job designing it. The few things that we want to see adjusted are the stone element, either making it all stone, or lower the stone portion, or all plaster. I think those are all kind of supportable directions. And if you do lower the stone, making it have an open edge, not just a straight line across. And then for the garage doors to match the original drawings with the divisions and the proportions as they are. And then the eave detail, if you could study, and maybe it's just either better pictures or some other way, study the detail in the house and at least consider some adjustment there, and maybe some more information on it when you come back too. All right, and then if you can go to the drawing, the elevations where the door that you're mentioning, Commissioner Ensberg, I just wanted to make sure that we're saying it right in terms of a slight.
The one on the east elevation, I think.
Yeah, east elevation, the man door.
You can hit the Z key and then draw a marquee around the elevation.
Now you're pushing. Just the Z?
Just touch
Well,
that.
but he's got to go to the right. Oh, he is on the right page. It's different screens. Okay, sorry, that was confusing.
Oh, see, now I have no control.
Our screen is not showing.
Yeah.
That might be.
I broke it.
Anyway, I think we
From
can
afar.
get it.
That might be Miss Rydell's screen.
You just
Oh,
think
yeah,
it's,
I think
you just
it
think
is
it's too
Miss Rydell's.
tight to that pop out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can adjust the man door a few inches away from the pop out, from the build out. Okay?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
It would be helpful if the original door on the garage is on the drawings on the next set, so we can
Oh, yeah, good
see
point.
them for future.
To include
Commissioners, so-
a scan of the original
Yeah.
garage doors or the drawings on it, so that.
So we have that for the record and.
Yeah, it's a good point. Incorporated in. All right, any other comments? So this is here for project design approval. Is anyone comfortable making the findings for that with integrating those specific things?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with
Yeah.
PDA.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just
yeah.
a question.
Commissioner Dre?
Is the width of the old garage doors, is it the same as what you're proposing?
It looks like it's much larger from
The openings in the old one?
drawing. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a much smaller garage. Than
Okay,
that. You can see
thank you.
there's-
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Lot
just
of
going
walls.
off What I just saw, it looks like there's 8 feet on each side of the door. It's a large garage compared to this one.
Okay.
It-
So, yeah, Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes, thank you, Chair Grumbine. As long as the proportions, are reflected for the smaller building, which I think is what you're doing, so.
Okay.
It will look a little different with that center post, though. So I'll just have to kind of revisit that a little bit.
All right. So does anyone want to make a motion and do project compatibility findings with those comments?
Mr. Chair, just before we get there, a comment about the door. I think the door could be a single door that opens. It just needs to look like that old door. I don't think you need, I don't think you need to do a
That's what I was
post.
thinking,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Does anyone want to make a motion with those project compatibility findings with those comments?
Yeah, everybody's avoiding that compatibility. Reading through that
I made
laundry
sure
list of things. So I'll make a motion for project final approval.
Or no, it's just project design approval.
Yeah, did I say final?
Yeah.
Oh, well, final can be on consent.
After the last item, just throwing out project.
Yeah, why not?
The final approvals everywhere.
We're giving them away for free.
That's right.
I'll make a motion for project design approval as requested with the compatibility findings as follows. It's consistent with our guidelines. The project is compatible with the character of its neighborhood. The size of the project is appropriate in terms of mass, bulk, height, and scale. It's sensitive to the historic building that it sits next to. It's not obstructing anybody's view of anything. and the landscape and open space is appropriately proportioned along with the project. The alterations, well, first of all, there are no alterations to the historic resource, so finding number one is really irrelevant. But the project is consistent with the Department of Interior standards.
All right.
And to continue to consent for final approval.
And it can be continued to consent for final.
Second.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Uli, second by Commissioner Drury. Under discussion. Any discussion? All right. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I will take the roll call vote. Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Lundvik.
Yes.
Commissioner Uli.
Yes.
Commissioner McClure.
Yes.
Commissioner Dordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Drury.
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Yes.
Vice Chair House.
Yes.
And Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. Great, thank you. And this project can be appealed within 10 days to City Council. The end. All right, and that's it. Meeting is adjourned.
Bye-bye.